Welcome to the Explainer. So, did you know that nearly 70% of organizational change initiatives fail? Yeah, 70%. It's a massive number. Today, we're unpacking the absolute definitive guide to leading teams smoothly through transitions. We're going to take a really deep look at organizational change and specifically the communication strategies that literally make or break those efforts. If you've ever watched a major software rollout completely stumble, or maybe you're tasked with guiding a team through a kind of controversial restructuring right now, well, this is exactly where you need to be. All right, so here is our game plan for today. We're going to quickly cover 5 key areas. 1. Why organizational change fails. 2. Segmenting your target audience. 3. Crafting the core messages. 4. Navigating channels and timing. And finally, number 5, managing resistance and actually measuring our success. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive right into this first piece, the root of why workplace transitions go wrong. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever experienced a change at work where absolutely no one explained what was happening? You know the feeling, right? One day you log in, the entire software system has been updated, your custom workflow is just completely wiped out, and there's zero context. Or maybe an abrupt return to office mandate drops in your inbox late on a Friday afternoon. Ugh. Unexplained shifts exactly like that cause immense confusion, anxiety, and frustration, simply because people don't understand what is happening or why. And that brings us to what we're actually dealing with here. Organizational change at its core is simply the transition from a current state to a future state. We're talking about things like broad policy changes, sweeping digital transformations, or company-wide restructuring. But it is precisely these unexplained transitions from the current state to the future state that trigger all that anxiety we just talked about. Without clear communication to help individuals adapt and actually feel secure, well, the future state just looks like a threat. So when a transition fails, it rarely has to do with the quality of the new software or the logic of the new policy itself. It usually roots back to 4 interconnected pitfalls: poor communication, lack of trust, employee resistance, and unclear direction. And here is the secret. It's like a domino effect. Poor communication is the primary culprit that breeds the other 3. Think about it. If communication is poor, the direction is unclear. When the direction is unclear, trust evaporates. And when there is no trust, you get fierce employee resistance. So the crucial point is this: people resist confusion, not change. You might want to read that again. It completely shifts our narrative. The problem isn't that human beings are inherently stubborn or incapable of learning new ways of working. No, the problem is that we are giving them confusing, incomplete information. The solution, therefore, is strategic communication that informs, engages, and supports your people. Which brings us to step 2, figuring out exactly who we are talking to so we can clear up that confusion. Look, you cannot just blast one generic email to the entire company and hope for the best. It just doesn't work. You have to know your audience. Strategic communication has to have successfully inform, engage, and support 4 main groups of key stakeholders: leaders, managers, employees, and your external publics. Each of these groups needs something totally different from you to feel secure during a transition. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that categorizing people just by their job title isn't enough. You actually have to segment your audience based on 3 unique metrics: their level of impact, their level of influence, and their attitude toward the transition. Ask yourself, how much does this change impact their daily routine? How much influence do they hold over their peers to either champion or sabotage the rollout? And what's their baseline attitude? Are they enthusiastic, neutral, or, actively hostile? For example, identifying an employee with high influence but a hostile attitude allows you to intervene and address their concerns way before they can sabotage the whole shebang. All right, let's move smoothly into phase 3, crafting the core messages. This is the blueprint for what we actually need to say. There are 4 absolutely non-negotiable questions that every single message must answer to effectively eliminate employee uncertainty. First, what is changing? Be specific here. Second, why now? You've got to give the business context so it doesn't just feel arbitrary. Third, what does it mean for me? Honestly, this is the most important one. You have to address the day-to-day reality of the person reading the message. And fourth, what should I do? Give them a clear, immediate action step. If your core messages hit these 4 steps, you are well on your way to a smooth transition. Next up, section 4. Because having the perfectly crafted message means absolutely nothing if your timing and channels are wrong. I want you to write this golden rule down. 1 message, multiple channels.
You really can't rely on a single town hall meeting or one lonely memo. You have to leverage emails, face-to-face meetings, internal social platforms, and interactive workshops to push a unified directive. The core message stays consistently the same, answering those 4 questions we just covered, but you use multiple channels to ensure it actually reaches people where they are most receptive. And this brilliantly illustrates how timing is just as important as the channel. Communication is a chronological journey. In phase 1, before the change happens, your goal is purely building awareness. In phase 2, during the actual transition, your communication shifts to providing real-time updates and support. And finally, in phase 3, after the change is implemented, you don't just wash your hands and walk away. You shift to vital reinforcement, celebrating wins and making sure the new habits actually stick.
Finally, let's talk about Section 5, managing resistance and measuring our success. Because let's be real, resistance is still going to happen.
We can systematically dismantle that resistance when we truly understand its root causes. If the root cause is fear, build trust through total transparency. If people are paralyzed by uncertainty, don't just talk more at them, actually listen. And if there is a fundamental lack of trust from the jump, the fix is involvement. You have to give stakeholders a seat at the table. And as communicators who craft these messages, manage campaigns, and handle crises, we have to prove that our communication actually drives success. We don't just guess if a rollout worked. We track these 4 specific metrics. We measure understanding. Do they actually know what's happening? We track engagement. Are they opening the emails and attending the workshops? We monitor feedback. What are they saying in our surveys? And most importantly, we look for behavior change. Are they actually using the new system or following the new policy?
So as you navigate organizational change, your communication strategy has to be clear, it has to be consistent, and it must be continuous. But above all else, in every single message and on every single channel, you must empathetically answer one core question for your audience. What's in it for me? If you fail to answer that, you fail to lead. So I'll leave you with this. The next time your team resists a new rollout, ask yourself, are they refusing to adapt or did you simply fail to explain it?